Hello and welcome to our channel. I'm Penny and this is my co-pilot Flynn. And we are Chaos and Cuteness. Today we are building an English cottage in The Sims 4. So we're utilizing the new neighborhood, Henford on Bagley, and we're building in Finchwich, I think it is. Yes, the Finchwich downtown neighborhood. So I figured we'd build this cottage that's probably been there for a while and kind of give it that old world feel. So this cottage is actually a little bit bigger than the typical cottage. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, which is a pretty good size. Because cottages typically are thought of as small homes. They've come to be known as vacation homes or secondary home. So the history with cottages is they date back to medieval times in Europe. And they were typically a little small house. And the word cottage came from the word cotters, which were the peasants back then. That's what they were referred to as. And then their house was a hut. And then at some point, the word cottage came to mean the actual house. Eventually, they made a comeback in the 1800s. So what makes a cottage home stand out from other homes? So yeah, typically it's a small size, but that has varied now through time. But a big thing was that they were typically built from their surroundings. So in this instance, this one is built of stone and brick, and then it has a thatched roof. So you would also see wood was a common item used as well. Flynn decides now that he wants to preen. He's totally distracted right now. So another thing that cottages are known for are their prominent chimneys. That's something that you'll see in a lot of cottages where it is up front, where maybe the front door is. Not always the case, but that's kind of a standard thing with cottages. They also had cross-gabled roofs. That was kind of a big thing. So that's something you notice in this build is where those two roofs intersect, and that's a cross-gabled roof. Another thing is the closed entry, and I started off now with a closed entry and realized I really should be doing that. Windows typically on a cottage home were either casement windows or sliding sash windows. So casement windows were windows that opened on a hinge, and sliding sash windows usually consisted of 1 or 2 frames that would slide up and down. Something also seen in cottages was asymmetry. So having a house that isn't exactly the same from one half to the other would be asymmetry. So that's also what I tried to go for in this English cottage. And the last thing is the cottage garden, which eventually we're going to give this cute little English cottage a cute little garden out in front, kind of going for the typical of what you would picture in the English countryside. So we'll see that in a little bit. As you will see later, I try to sneak a chicken coop in here because I love chickens. You do too, Flynn? I love chickens, but it just wasn't working because I wanted to have this really huge garden out in front that just really was the major feature out there, and the chicken coop didn't fit in. So that's too bad. Next time. But kind of on the subject of chickens, I'm gonna kind of switch to turkeys. I have a turkey story. So this all starts with my brother's getting married later this month, and we were with some friends trying to work out the sound equipment because he's having a very small wedding outside in someone's garden, and the rest of the wedding is going to be streamed on Zoom for people because of the pandemic right now. So we were at a friend's house with him trying to work out all the audio and sound make sure things are getting ready for then. And the friend's house that we went to, we walk around the back and she says, don't make any sudden movements. So then I'm carrying all this equipment and I kind of freeze like, what is going on? And it turns out there's a baby turkey on their deck that's just chilling out with them, sitting on the deck with them. And so I guess this baby turkey's been kind of hanging around for a while between their place and the neighbor's house. And they don't know what happened, if it was abandoned, it got left behind from the other turkeys. I don't know. It was really young. I was guessing it's probably, I don't know, maybe a couple months old. It was so cute and tiny, and I really wanted to take it home. So I'm thinking like, oh, I could have a pet turkey. I come home later and I'm researching how to try and potty train a turkey for the house. I'm picturing having this turkey in the house, which would be completely crazy. I'm picturing this turkey running around the house, Flynn chasing after the turkey, Flynn riding on the turkey's back. I'm assuming Flynn would love the turkey, but he might be completely freaked out of the turkey and hate the turkey. I don't know. I was just dreaming. Yeah, I think it would be super cool to have a pet turkey. And I guess they can be very much like dogs, where they'll follow you around the outside and they can be pretty friendly and awesome. So as much as I would like it, it wouldn't be good for the turkey. It needs more space. Our yard is not that big, but I can dream, right? Flynn has now discovered that I have a necklace on and he is trying to, distracted by my earrings. He was trying to rip the necklace off of my neck. It's interesting. He usually doesn't care when I wear necklaces, but I don't know. He likes this one. Anyways, so with this build, I didn't end up doing anything for farming, unfortunately. I kept everything as a flower garden, but I built, and you'll see later, I built a greenhouse. And there's a bunch of flower pots in there. And later I ended up putting some plants in there so that there's some starter plants in there. I figured I kind of made a family for this house. So it consists of 2 parents, a grandfather, 2 twins, 2 twin boys, and a teenage daughter. So I figured the mom was really into gardening and flowers. And so I built the greenhouse for her. I figured she would be planting these flowers and selling them for a job. And then the grandpa lives with them, and teenage daughter and 2 boys, like I said. I don't know what the dad does. I don't know. I figured he could do like side jobs and side projects around town. I figured that would totally fit in with this little town, right? So speaking of gardens, did anyone plant a vegetable garden this year? I did. And I'm getting my first crops, so I'm really excited. I planted tomatoes and green bell peppers, jalapenos. I also planted oregano, mint, rosemary, garlic chives, and my garlic chives and rosemary, actually, I had from last year. And I kept them alive all winter long inside the house. Somehow they survived. And also, I've been keeping alive a hibiscus plant that my mom gave me like years back. And it doesn't like coming inside in the winter, but somehow it survives. And today, it blossomed for the first time this summer. So that's super awesome. It's really pretty. So I harvested so far some bell peppers and tomatoes, and my bell peppers I use in some recipes. I love to cook. That's my other big passion, is cooking. So I made smothered chicken with the bell pepper, and then I also made an Indian dish with chicken and bell peppers. and it was so good. And it feels so good to use your own harvest. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So I was wondering if anyone else had some gardens that they planted this year, and if you're getting any of your crops and what you're using them for. I also I have 9 tomato plants. I had 8 last year, and it was super awesome. I had tomatoes all summer, and I froze the rest, and they lasted us all the way till April, which is awesome. So I'm planning on doing that again this year, and then possibly canning. I've never canned before, so we'll see what that's like. It'll be fun. And then also, I was planning on this week, I'm gonna make some salsa with my jalapenos and my tomatoes. I used to do that in the past, and that's really yummy. Fresh salsa is the best. I really liked how this dining/living room had turned out, and I came back later actually, and you'll see it in final photos, and I added in a TV because I realized there was no TV in the house. So I gave them a really old TV, so a tiny little TV. I figured most of the family would be busy with doing stuff outside versus watching TV, but you know, once in a while they gotta just sit back and relax. This is the twins' bedroom, and behind that bedroom I figured that would be a guest bedroom, which isn't very realistic in The Sims, but I just thought it was cute. Or put whoever you want in there, rearrange the furniture, I don't know. Do whatever you want. Like, you buy this house and you move in and you do your own thing with it. So I also left out 2 of the smaller bathrooms because this build was decently long, and I figured that would just get boring watching bathrooms being built and furnished. So hopefully that's okay. I left the main bathroom in so you can kind of see how that is. I have a weird thing with kitchen and bathrooms. I love kitchens and bathrooms. And there's just something about bathrooms. If they're dingy and dirty looking, it just grosses me out. But a really nice, clean bathroom is like super amazing. I don't know. I'm weird. Upstairs now, this is I guess you'd say the master bedroom, main bedroom. I was kind of going for the look here of this cottage, like they had an attic second story to kind of have those windows stick out, because that's something also with cottages is having those attic windows. So that's what I was going for up here. So I figured this is the parents' bedroom. Nice big suite. They have a little hallway that goes to their own bathroom, and then there are 2 more bedrooms up here and then 1 large bathroom. Hopefully you all have been able to do something safe and fun this year. In June, my husband and I were out in Colorado. We went backpacking. We really enjoy backpacking. We were near Aspen area. We went to the Snowmass Wilderness, and we attempted to do Haystack and Capitol Peak Loop, which is about 40 miles. And spoiler alert, we didn't finish, unfortunately. So our first day was going great. We got up to about 10,000, 11,000 feet, and we got hailed on. Hailed, rained, and we finally got it up higher. It stopped. The sun came out. We took a break, ate lunch. It was great. And then we continued on. And it ended up pouring rain, hailing, and sleeting on us later. And during the rain, we were also attempting to cross snowfields. And one of the snowfields dropped straight off into a freezing cold lake that had icebergs. So that was kind of scary. And my husband and I had never crossed snowfields before. We were with a friend who had, so that was good. He helped us cross over. We had already brought crampons, which are spikes that went on our boots, so we were prepared. We had hiking, trekking poles. But yeah, it was scary having like 35, 36 pounds on my back and then crossing over, and he actually took my pack the first time, which was great. So we get over that, and at that point it's lightning and thundering, and our friend wants to keep going, and I'm like, this is not a good idea. We are like in the open, middle of nowhere. There's no trees. There's pretty much no shelter. Like, we need to stop. And we got under a big, huge rock and kind of sheltered in place until the lightning moved out of the area. And then we continued going. We had to cross over the saddle between two mountains, which was the highest point we reached. So that was also interesting because we had to climb up and over the saddle that was covered with snow still with our heavy packs. So that was also scary. But we did it, made it to the other side, and it just poured the whole rest of the way to the campsite. It was horrible. It was a steady pouring rain. And so we get to the area where it splits off for the campsites, and the sign says campsites this way. So we go that way. We're hiking for a decent amount of time, and we're like, where are these campsites? This can't be right. So we're checking the map, and it turns out the campsites are not that way, even though the sign said the campsites were that way. So we had to backtrack, go all the way back, and go the right way to get to the campsite. And we didn't even make it to the right campsites. We got to a place where there was a big open area, and people obviously were camping there. And you're allowed to do that if you're so many feet off the trail and you're so many feet from the water. And I don't know if we were too close to the trail, but at that point, it's like we needed to stop. We were soaked. Turned out all my husband's clothes were soaked. His pillow was soaked. And so we're hanging our stuff out to dry. And we're like, all right, well, hopefully we can get stuff dry by tomorrow. We go to sleep. We left all our clothes out drying. And it turns out it rains overnight and soaks our clothes even more than they were more soaked than what they started out as. So at this point, we now realize we're stuck in place for a while because we got to get dry clothes. It was cold at night. It was really cold, so we can't risk hypothermia. So we're trying to get our clothes dry the next day. It's raining pretty much the whole day. It was awful. We ended up putting on wet clothes to go to sleep to try to dry them off. And even though that was kind of miserable, it worked. And then we realized the next day we're not going to be able to keep going. It's like our clothes are still wet. There's no way. We're going to run out of food. We can't finish this. And we had already run into a couple coming the opposite way that said areas were kind of sketchy. So we're like, yep, we can't do this. So we ended up going back and camping at the sites close to Capitol Peak, which is a 14er that a lot of people will do mountaineering up to the peak. And I don't think I'll ever do it. It looks so scary. I guess that's like one of the most technical 14ers. I think it is probably the most technical 14er in Colorado. So yeah, scary stuff. Not for me. But anyways, we camped there, and the sites there are pretty awesome. They're very exposed. It's windy. It rained again, so that wasn't fun. We ended up talking to a ranger that ended up coming up that ways, and we did let him know that the campsite sign was wrong. So that's good. Now he's aware that that sign was not correct, so hopefully no one else will end up doing what we did and wasting a bunch of time and energy going the wrong way. It ended up being a trail that way, but it was a different trail and there was not campsites that way. And while we were talking to him, we had put clothes out previously before to try to dry between the rains again, and it starts raining again. So we had to quickly end the conversation and let him know we gotta get our clothes in. We have clothes that are sitting out, so we're rushing to get all our clothes in the tent. it rained a good amount again. We actually had pools of water outside our tent. My husband was smart enough to go and get some big flat rocks, and he put those under the cover of our tent, and we had all of our stuff that we wanted to keep dry up there, like our boots and then our packs. So that was great. So the essentials didn't end up being in a pool of water. All right, so the last story I have time for on this trip was the monster rabbit story. So I forgot how it ended up happening, but our friend is like coming to us and telling us that there's this monster rabbit, and we're kind of like brushing him off, like, what are you talking about? Like, there's this monster rabbit and it's terrorizing me. And we didn't believe it. And he was saying it was bouncing off his tent and being like psychotic and probably like thumping its feet, which I was like, I know rabbits get territorial and do that, but I'm like, no way is it bouncing off your tent. I don't believe you. So later on, ended up being early the next morning, I hear a crash outside of our tent. And I had put some clean pots and plates out there to just dry off because of being rained on. They didn't have food. We had to have our food in bear kegs, but that was clean. I left it out. So I'm freaked out at this point. Like, oh my gosh, what knocked over our stuff? Is there a bear up here? Because the ranger had just told us that there were bears in the area last fall. So I'm freaked out, but it's like, I gotta find out what's going on. So I open the zipper in the tent and I peek my head out a teeny bit. And yeah, the stuff's all knocked over. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's a chipmunk. And then I see off to the side this rabbit, a snowshoe hare rabbit. So I'm like, all right, our friend was not joking. Like, there's this evil, crazy rabbit that's up by our campsites. And then, yeah, it ended up bouncing off our tent too. It was not happy that we were in its home. And then it turned out later that morning, my husband discovers that the cork on his trekking poles of where you put your hands, one of them was all chewed up. So the rabbit like totally destroyed one of his trekking poles. But I was joking around like, okay, well, this is your souvenir from this trip. This rabbit gave you this souvenir. So yes, this was the crazy monstrous snowshoe hare that was up by Capitol Peak. So, well, that's all I have time for today. We are finishing up with our landscaping here, and it's been fun once again. We've talked about English cottages and turkeys, vegetables, crazy monstrous rabbits. Yeah, it's been fun. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more videos. We are going to be planning on putting out one video a week for now. We'll try to get that up to 2, but stick around for more content. And also, if you want to check us out on Instagram or Twitter, we are there too. And all that info is going to be in the description box. And this will be up on the gallery if you're also interested in that. So check that out. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday. Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand. Hey darling, I love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for two. Hey darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday. Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday.